Hi guys, it is Jhes and Stu back with 2110 Fitness. We've got another IGT video for you guys coming up. This week's topic is going to be recovery, but before we hop into that, we will just give you a quick refresher on our current offerings. We have kids physical education sessions running Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. They're about 30 minutes long. Then we also have a noon hour bodyweight bootcamp session that is 45 minutes long, all bodyweight, no equipment necessary. So feel free to hop in on any of those. They're Monday through Friday for both. And we also have a weekly challenge. This week's challenge is core based. We've got 20 V-ups in 30 seconds, which sounds like a lot, but you can do it. And why wouldn't you? Because we have a $25 Good Coffee Trade Co. Is that the company?
Good Trade Co.
Good Trade Co. They are a coffee company though, local to Calgary for us, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do the challenge even if you aren't in Calgary, so feel free to take advantage of that. But we should hop into recovery, I think. It's very important. A lot of people are probably trying to recover after the long weekend. Things got a little crazy, but...
All right, so we've got 3 tips today for you on proper recovery, but first we have to kind of flesh out a little bit about what the different types of recovery are that we can look at. We've got an I am recovery and an I feel recovery. I am means you are looking at the facts. You're looking at what's your resting heart rate, what's your HRV, how many hours of deep sleep did you get last night, that kind of stuff. The I feel category will be more like the subjective type of thing, like how do you feel going into your workout, how do you feel waking up, and that kind of stuff. So before we break those down a little bit, or before I break down the I am category, Jess is going to hop into the I feel it category and tell us what that's like.
Yeah, so it would be like kind of just taking inventory at the beginning of your day. So you wake up, are you feeling energized, are you exhausted, still feeling fatigued, like you didn't have a good sleep, that sort of thing. And then you'd also be monitoring that during your training as well. So are you taking a little bit longer to warm up? Are things feeling kind of stiff? Are you moving slowly? Especially as you start like lifting the weight, if you're going for a little bit more maximal day, you want to just be very aware of potentially how like heavy things are feeling. If you've ever stepped under the bar and felt that weight on you, it is very subjective. But there's also metrics to tell us whether or not we are actually recovered, which is often very different than how we're feeling.
Correct.
But
so sometimes I'll get people to come in when they come in for a session like, man, I feel like trash. And we've got some kind of way of measuring their body before they get there. And the metrics are responding to show us that they're actually recovered pretty well from the day before. And then we push through whatever it is that they're feeling and then gear them towards a performance day that they might not have otherwise done because their body's responding in a way that's like, hey, I am recovered. But the metrics that we look at for that are resting heart rate variability, and how many hours of deep sleep you got that night, or typically the top 3 that we look at. There's also blood pressure as a way of measuring that as well to determine whether or not you're recovered, but I'm going to talk about the first 3. So when you look at resting heart rate, you take that as soon as you're awake, as soon as you wake up in the morning before you even get out of bed. That's going to tell us, okay, is your heart rate beating faster than it normally is right as soon as you're out of bed? Is it beating slower than it normally does right as soon as you're out of bed, or is it about average? So for me specifically in this case, my resting heart rate's about 50 beats a minute. For my activity level and for my age, that's okay, that's pretty good. It could be a little bit better meaning lower. Some people at my age, if you're maybe less trained or there's other things coming up, you might have a slightly higher resting heart rate. That's fine, because we're looking for what your heart rate does based off of what you did the day before or earlier in the week. For example, if you have a really big squat day or really heavy day, either from any kind of like physical stress or work stress or anything like that, your resting heart rate might respond in kind to that, and you might go from 50 beats a minute the day before to some kind of increase, which might be like 60 or 65 beats a minute. That means that your body's not recovered, your heart's beating faster than it should to get you through the day, and you don't really want to train super hard on those days because that higher heart rate is showing your body's already taxed. Heart rate variability is the second one that we look at, and that is showing the difference in beats per minute that your heart can kind of accommodate for. That means you're still getting 50 beats a minute, but your heart's not beating like a metronome. Your heart is beating variably throughout that minute. So if your heart is beating like a metronome, it's all your heart can do to get you that 50 beats in that minute. And that would show a low variability in your heart rate, say 20 to 40 HRV. If you've got a really high variability in your heart rate, then your heart is doing a really good job of accommodating for the different pressures in your body going on, the different cadence in your talking or activity or whatnot. And that higher HRV is going to show that your heart rate is ready to take on strain that day. So you're looking for a higher HRV if your body's recovered, and a lower HRV will indicate that it's not. And then finally, you look at your hours of deep sleep. Typically, we want anywhere between 1 and 2 hours of deep sleep a night. If you've got some way of measuring it, then that'll come up in the morning. That'll be like, oh, okay, cool, I got 2 hours of deep sleep last night. I should be relatively recovered, because that's what's gonna really affect your HRV and your resting heart rate the next day. So you wanna make sure that that number is up. If you got like no deep sleep that night, then maybe your routine needs a little bit of an adjustment to allow you to get more deep sleep. But those are the 3 kind of hard and fast metrics that we look at when we're looking at the IAM category for recovery. The next one that we wanna look at is what Jess is gonna talk about.
Yeah, you want to take both of those things into account when you're evaluating performance. So like I touched on earlier, you're looking at how you feel as you're warming up and you're getting into your workout, and you might have to adapt your training based on how you're feeling, but not only the feel side of things, but what your actual health metrics are telling you. So your heart rate is spiking up really quickly and you're not coming down as quickly as maybe you normally do. Your recovery is a little bit lower there. It might be an indicator that you should maybe pull off the weight a little bit, just take a slightly easier training day and potentially incorporate more rest into your sets, that sort of thing. But you need to look for those kind of like checks and balances as you're working through your training and getting ready to perform, because it might just not end up being safe for you to lift at maximal numbers if your body isn't properly prepared. But aside from that, we do have 3 tips to kind of bring all of this together, areas that you can improve your recovery no matter how you're feeling or what your health metrics are telling you.
Right. So our 3 tips start with, how do we change the IAM metrics to show us that we are recovered, or how do we adjust for poor IAM metrics? So you wake up, you got really high resting heart rate, your HRV is really low, and you got no deep sleep last night. What do? Well, there's not a lot you can do in the morning for those types of things. You really got to start putting in place a reactionary protocol for that night to help you the next day. So if your responding variables are really poor, then you don't want to stress your body out way more that day. Maybe you dial back your training a little bit, and then that night, you want to do things that are going to help with recovering better for resting heart rate variability, and deep sleep. That means proper nighttime routine. Maybe you're supplementing with something like a sleep aid or something like that that'll help bring down your body and allow you to get through better recovery through more deep sleep that night or something else like that. But those are types of things you want to look at. Better recovery in the evening, earlier to bed, that kind of routine type setup, so that you can get proper recovery and proper metric response the next day.
Yeah, you're looking to create a nighttime routine in which you're encouraging your body to feel relaxed, which means taking any strain off your nervous system. That could include putting blue light filters on any of your electronic devices. You're not looking at your electronic devices, say 45 minutes, kind of minimally before you're getting ready for bed. It's going to calm the nervous system. You engage in any of your kind of normal routines, and it's always encouraged to kind of set a bedtime time for you to always continuously say get to bed at 10 o'clock, and at that point you're actively trying to go to sleep. It is time to rest, and your body is ready and prepared for that. So you're not only feeling relaxed, you're encouraging good metric numbers for the following day, but it's kind of like developing that preparedness to perform the following day.
Mm. The last one that we want to talk about for after you've gone through your I am metrics and your I feel metrics and trying to establish a good routine for both of those things. My favorite one is when you're looking at your performance, how do you get better performance, or how do you get better recovery for your performance? That's through carbohydrate intake, or at least one of the methods is through carbohydrate intake, and that's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so I've got a big squat the next day. All right, well, let's have a little bit more carbs. Oh, I've got a big squat today. Let's have some more carbs. Oh, I had a really good workout today. Oh, let's have some more carbs. So carbohydrates are awesome because they increase your glycogen stores, or you increase your carbohydrate intake, and that allows you to fill up your glycogen stores, and that's where you get all your energy from for your workouts. If you have full glycogen stores, then your performance is better. Typically, you're more accurate with your movements. Your fast twitch muscles are more ready to execute whatever it is you're asking them to do. So I usually like to make sure that any athletes or any training or any clients that I have that are doing Olympic lifting movements and that kind of thing are they're not on a cut. What they're doing is they're making sure that they're supplementing properly for their carbohydrate intake. Same with myself. If I've got enough glycogen in my system, that allows me to squat better, allows me to run a little bit longer without that increase in discomfort from running out of my glycogen stores. Or even from like a bodybuilding perspective, it allows you to squeak out a couple more reps on whatever it is that you're doing, and that'll let you get a little bit further in your training a little bit faster.
Any good reason to have more carbohydrates,
Yeah,
I think.
I like cookies, you like cookies, right? So that's what I like to do.
Anywho, those are our 3 tips to help improve your recovery. You want to monitor how you're feeling, your actual health metrics, and then evaluate your performance throughout your training. So that is all that we have for today. Please don't forget about our current virtual offerings. Feel free to hop in on any of those, participate in our challenge. We want to give away our gift card to our local coffee company because we like to support local, and who doesn't like coffee?
Exactly.
So thanks for hopping in. Have a great day, you guys.
Awesome, guys.